So, what's up, guys? I tell this video your core connection with the or to the spiritual realm, or master the spiritual realm, or how you connect already with the spirit realm, as we all do on some level. We are just more or less aware of it. That's what I want to talk about. So I hope this might help you. So because and a lot of guilt and fear and agony and despair and shame correlating to that, and the correlation to that, and the core wound, what I also thought about. I might title this video the core wound. What am I talking about? The heck? What is he talking about? So, we all go through life more or less with these heavier emotions. Don't quite know what to do with it. It's great that more and more people are speaking up on it, because all that anxiety, depression and shit, because now we gotta become more aware of it, what actually is causing that and going on. Now, the core wound, I really think this might help you if you listen closely and have some understanding of it, or can follow through. Now, as we all know, originally came from your spirit. You came from source. We all did, and there's no paradigm of duality within it. It's quite hard to imagine. That's also another point, because we were so used to it here, because it was a major paradigm or pattern, if you want to see so. Now, I already talked about patterns a lot. Pattern is just like a representation or a guideline or a structure, foundation. Foundation is a great word. Originally for ourselves to build upon. So it's originally made, like it already said, pattern, like in the spirit. Now, obviously, here everything got more condensed, so these things and structures got heavier and denser, and more or less not to our liking or highest liking, or as the spirit, because it wasn't where people at, and there was a lot of control to maneuver, fear and all that shit. Now, the core wound here is, though, are you still with me? Yeah, kind of changed my energy because I'm kind of too chill sometimes. Now, the core wound is that many of us went through quite harshly when we came here, is to be faced that with the dilemma that you just being is not enough, because the inner child allowed that, or much more where you originally came from, and that you truly are the pure beingness, if you might say so, your connection to the spirit realm. That this what the major, you might see the ultimate pattern, which is no pattern, because it's hard to explain, because it's nothing rigid. That's why it's the ultimate pattern, which is no pattern. It's nothing rigid to hold upon. But if your state of being or beingness, pure beingness, that we all have as a child and still are with our inner child, if that's wrong, then we kind of get thrown off, how they say, the bandwagon, or like that's the biggest irritation and misconstitution, if this is even a word, because now we jump to the conclusion that or in a child that there's something wrong with us and with that as well. So at least when we, especially as a child, when you are taught that things you're doing right, that this is wrong, or you being assertive and on an empowering path and do something good, if you somehow caught up that is bad and the other way around, when you are hurt, experience hurt and pain, that this is right or more right, so then you practically learn all this devilish shit, which is the origin of that you cling to suffering and you learn to, I don't want to say worship suffering because it's unconscious, but yeah, you kind of, that becomes your way of pattern. Now obviously more or less we try then to, because we still have a positive intent and still know that somewhere to varying degrees, some people might less, some people more, and still going more into empowering states and using more empowering ways and coming back to that purity or to closer to your connection to the spirit realm. That's why I made this video. That's actually it. That's the point. Your connection, you never lost it truly. You're always connected to that. Now that's why so many are then subconsciously scared of the light on some level, to some degree, and some at some point use it. That's why they act out of spite. They got taught this way, so and they somehow call up that the perfection of spirit, if you might say so, is wrong. So they hold resentment towards that, and they can't face it. So they act in spite. On a more personal level, not in these extremes. When you're in the put in a situation of pressure and someone is really triggering you, and then at some point you lose all your shit, and get angry and wanna box them, or something like that, because although it's normally not your way, but because you're triggered and you're already in your mind on, maybe you are like that and probably doing everything you can, but these situations still arise. Now it's always best to look for a more empowering path, because obviously if you let anger lead you, you're giving your power away to that, and this will only mirror you. That's what all these lower states are doing. You got free will, you got the free will to act inspired and act like this or that and all of that, but you also got to be aware of to what patterns you're giving your power away. And if you are on the path of ultimate destruction and denial of the self and that pure connection that you once had or still have, can see or not willing to look at it because it's too hurtful, then you're going on in a pattern of destruction of the self and against all whole and holy, because you're triggered by that. So that's what then they call you could call it, that's the road to hell, so to speak, from that perspective. But it's, yeah, you got free choice, free will, although it's kind of hard sometimes to see them. Now most of us, or now I think now the world isn't heading in the direction either through all the light work we did. Now most of us are on upward spiral, and actually all of us were the collective were, if we would acknowledge that darkness and hurt within, because then it wouldn't be continued to be pushed outside to then find someone in some situation or some people to finally look at it, and then they have to deal with all that shit. Although obviously there's always the help from spirits, so you don't want to deny that. Or I know it's a lot of data and input output I'm talking about in this video. So basically it's acknowledgement of that and of the self, and that it's just misperception and misconception within yourself, and that's why they say that people, you might agree on that or not, people itself aren't really evil, they're just misguided, in some cases heavily misguided, but yeah, we got free will, so you can see it like you want. I don't I as well get all perspectives. I don't want to make this video about it anyways, but all you gotta do is be willing to look at yourself, and then you realize that actually if you do that, at some point it's kind of burning off in the light, because these things aren't rooted in truth, but you got taught like that. That's the tricky thing. You will get to that point though at some point, and already as you know, as a man or as mankind people, that's why I think they said, you know, man had in the Bible the number 6. Now you might, or 666, now you might think of the devil, but what it's actually is, it's potential, and you know, the world was still more rooted in this duality paradigm, so it was open for change. That's why they say 666 is actually the original ancient number, is the end, you know, the end of something old and the beginning of something new, or yeah, change. Now you can then use it to be headed in a positive direction, or if you give your power away to it, it will lead you to more destruction. But then why not let it? Why not add? Why should you add more force to it and push it into that direction, if you can let it be the burn off of the old through transmutation from within? And then because as a man, it's why I brought it in is because I think, you know, of kind of the solar plexus, like that's why it's still kind of we perceive it as this outside reality, because it simply was where, or is where this earth was. So the thing of where you can really learn to empower yourself and be sovereign, and you kind of have the separation, but you really learn to, like, that's why a hand-to-hand combat is correlated to on martial arts to solar, because you can learn how to hand-to-hand be in your center and empower yourself, while still being discerning of who's your enemy and friend, while if you let it be, still being on a path of self-empowerment and aligning yourself, because that's what the solar does with the higher worms or the cosmos, and not be a slave to lower drives and emotions. Okay, all path of self-empowerment. So that's what actually, like I see it here, like on the Earth School, what you can learn here really good and very hard, or in a very empowering way, all depending on the perspective. Now, although we as well want to acknowledge it all, that's the way to unity, as many as many see it, yeah, and then coming to the heart of our being, which I think that's why the sun, I think the sun is like the like the core, and it's the perfect expression of, like, yeah, the divine embodiment of that, the solar energy, but also correlating to the heart, the core, and the divine expression of that, because you gotta also realize it's not really separation, but still everything is so in being originally on its own, so everything got free will. So that's might think the kind of perceived duality here. That's where you gotta look for a deep understanding for it. Enough said. I hope this helped you guys, and peace and blessings, and hope you're doing well on the path of self-empowerment, so we don't have to create any more chitty chat trauma, unnecessary things, because originally being straightforward is quite a good way, being direct. But there you need the spiritual side as well, because otherwise you're still ignoring something, and you're still not taking on that on yourself. That's kinda what was the misperceived notion of the masculine, as I see it. Now we're all dealing with different ways and energies, so it's all good to know if you're on the path of betterment anyways, and acknowledgement. So yeah, peace, man. Bye.